and a very warm welcome to everybody joining me for another installment of Inside SA Media, which is proudly brought to you by Tribox Media and Factfort. My name is Lungi Sonyakewa Onachia, always happy to be doing this with you week after week. Let's get into it. Everyone with a phone is a publisher now. A message on WhatsApp, a short clip on TikTok, a viral tweet, any one of those things can change how we think, how we vote, or even how we act. But can people still tell fact from fiction? So today we're going to dig into media literacy in this digital age that we're in. We're going to look at the tools, we're going to look at the failures, and we're also going to look at what actually works to help citizens separate truth from all of the noise that we're constantly bombarded with. And just before we get into it, I just want you to keep this one stat in the back of your mind that globally, only 4 in 10 people say that they trust most of the news most of the time. All right, so media literacy is more than just the ability to spot a fake. It's actually a set of skills, right? It's about reading beyond the headlines. It's about being able to check sources, understanding incentives, and recognizing persuasion tactics. In democracies, media literacy is basically a civic skill. It helps voters make informed choices, it helps communities respond better to crises, and it also protects people from harm when dangerous rumors spread. In essence, media literacy is access plus evaluation plus verification plus creation. Let's be blunt. Platforms do matter. In many countries, private messaging apps and social media networks are basically how people get most of their news most of the time. In some middle income countries, WhatsApp and Facebook basically dominate the social landscape. And in that space, the false claims often travel really, really fast. The Reuters Institute Digital News Report finds that global trust is quite fragile. Now, while South Africa ranks relatively high in overall news trust at around 55%, there's still this serious risk that we have from social media reliance. And staying with South Africa, while some institutions retain a higher trust, the media remains contested. Recent national surveys show persistent skepticism about the impartiality of news sources. When audiences rely on networks of friends for news, where verification hardly ever happens, falsehoods definitely find then a fertile ground in that spot. And that's why media literacy is not only educational, but it's also protective. We say this a lot, but misinformation really does spread like wildfires do. It starts with a small spark and there's always fast amplification. There are a few familiar mechanisms, right? There's emotional content which travels faster, repetition helps to increase perceived truth, and algorithms, of course, like we've said in past episodes, rewards engagement and not necessarily accuracy. During that uncertainty of schools reopening phase during the pandemic, there were these viral voice notes and memes that claimed that government had decided to keep schools closed permanently, or strange things that said that even children were being used for experiments, right? Of course, this created panic amongst parents. Many decided to keep their children at home despite official notices. Teachers reported drops in attendance, but not because of policy, but this was because misinformation had taken root. A single rumor was enough to undermine trust in the education system. In another wave, unverified voice notes circulated on WhatsApp claiming that Eskom engineers were deliberately sabotaging power stations or that the national grid would collapse within days. Now, the impact of that was that we had a lot of panic buying of generators, of fuel and food in some instances. And it deepened this sense of hopelessness and distrust and stress and panic. So these weren't harmless forwards. They fueled real anxiety in homes that were already strained by real energy shortages, real outages. and real struggles to maintain a sense of normalcy in a time that was really scary. Platforms also create incentive problems, right? WhatsApp's end-to-end encryption protects privacy, but it also hides virality patterns, making it harder to detect dangerous misinformation at scale. That's why tools like Real 411 exist, right? These allow citizens to report harmful content so that platforms, regulators, and fact checkers can then respond. Vulnerability is not uniform. People with lower digital skills, limited language access to quality news, or restricted internet are at greater risk. The GSMA's mobile gender gap research shows that women in low and middle income countries remain less likely to use mobile internet, which affects access to verified information and digital literacy programs. Many fact checking initiatives report spikes in false claims in local languages during elections and health crises. Language matters. When fact checks are published only in English or an elite register, they miss rural communities. That's why local language fact checking and community radio are essential actors in the information ecosystem. Solutions are practical and layered. They include professional fact-checking organizations, reporting tools for harmful content, newsroom transparency, and education systems that teach verification skills from an early age. During recent elections, Africa Check ran targeted hubs to debunk viral claims in real time, often in partnerships with local media. Their work shows that quick, accessible corrections can really help to slow falsehoods a little bit. Now, I know these steps aren't perfect. Also, they take time. But here's the important part though, they slow misinformation down and they also help to build habits across communities. The responsibility also sits with newsrooms and platforms. That means transparent sourcing, rapid corrections, partnerships with fact checkers, and investments in local reporting is important. Platforms must design for safety, not only for engagement, and they must provide accessible reporting tools for local language communities. Some practical steps could include platforms and publishers building election information hubs, publishers opening source notes and data repositories, regulatory steps, where appropriate, need to ensure platform accountability while also safeguarding free speech, which is not easy, but it's something that needs to happen. Media literacy is not some niche training for journalists. It's a civic skill for the 21st century, just like reading or understanding how money works. When citizens can separate fact from fiction, democracies are stronger, public health improves, and communities are safer. So here's what you can do today. Pause. Pause before you forward. Verify before you amplify. Support trusted outlets and teach someone a verification trick. That's how we build more resilient information ecosystems, one verified story at a time. Thank you so very much for joining me for today's installment of Inside SA Media. Please do share your thoughts with me in the comments section, and I look forward to being back with you next week. From myself, Lungisenyo on a chair, it is goodbye.